Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Luciana Turner here, your host of Contracting Chatter. It's been a while since I've been live. It's been a while since I've been live, but that's okay. Next year, my company will be 10 years old, and I'm doing this whole countdown to 10 years. And as a part of the countdown, I'm sharing some of my what I've learned over the years of being in business, along with some tips and some contracting and my regular content. So there, I'm doing a whole countdown to 10 years, and in addition to my regular content. So bear with me in this culminating in a event, which is the contractors intensive here in Charlotte. So you're going to hear about the contractors intensive. You're going to hear about some of my offerings. You're going to hear about how you can work with me, but you're going to hear about some of what I've learned over the years being in business and what it took for me to grow my business and what it took for me to grow as a business founder. And I think that's a conversation we don't have enough. Everybody says go out and start a business, but there's not enough conversation around what it takes to run a business. You can run out here, get an EIN, and come up with a name, and poof, you're a business founder. But there's not enough conversation around what it takes to actually run a true business and what it takes to keep that business alive and running. You know, People want to glorify, I'm a business owner, but nobody talks about the late nights and the sleeplessness and the worries and the heartaches and quite frankly the friendships that you lose. You lose friends when you start a business. How people become petty and want to say it's you. How the bookkeeping, get the bookkeeping. How you have to recognize different phases and stages in your business, and you have to lose to win, and what that looks like in business. How you have to say, okay, I have to spend money that I don't have in order to expand. That means somebody else have to take over your accounting because you're not an accountant. Otherwise, you would have started an accounting firm. And somebody has to take over the bookkeeping so that you can stay in your genius. You have to consult with an attorney at some point in time to make sure that you're legally sound. At some point in time, you have to bring on a tax accountant to make sure that your taxes are done correctly so that your friend, the IRNS, doesn't come knocking on your door saying that you owe money or that you didn't file correctly, that your business structure is structured properly. Check out my podcast episode coming out with Dwayne Williams. He is amazing. Our conversation was amazing, and I'm having him come back. We're talking about this infamous LLC, and the LLC doesn't do what people think it does. Now, I'm not telling you don't become one, but I'm telling you it doesn't do what people think it does. As you're joining this conversation, share it amongst your network. Over here, we don't believe in growing alone. We believe in growing in partnership. So pull out your contractor's notebook, your favorite beverage, and your get your contracting besties, your business bestie, and track down some notes this morning. So my podcast episode coming out this on contractors conversation. It's on Spotify, YouTube podcasts, and wherever podcasts are streaming. We're talking about the infamous LLC. It doesn't do what you think it does. Hello. You know, so we're talking about all these things, but people don't talk about that when you're telling you to become a business owner. I've been in government contracting. This is the year of our Lord 2024. I've been in government contracting for 24 years. And let me tell you, all these people talking about getting certified, certifications don't do what they think you tell you do. The only certification you really need is the 8A. Now, some businesses that do B2B want you to become woman owned and all this other stuff. I'm going to tell you, okay, if you want to really do business with those companies, get the woman owned. However, you are not your business. However, your experience is your business experience. Now, that'll be interesting initially. But you so there's just a lot of things that they tell you in business that doesn't make sense, and that will actually delay you because you're spending all this time spinning your wheel filling out paperwork when you should be getting your systems and structures together that will make you a powerful business that you can partner with other business, and then you can scale and grow. Honey, scaling and growing a business comes through partnerships, comes through collaborations, comes through networking. It comes in getting in a room with people that are 10 steps ahead of you. But people don't tell you that. They just tell you go start a business as though poof, you open your doors and you're making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars overnight. It is not. The overnight successes became overnight successes because they put in the work over the years. It took time. So as we do my countdown to our 10th anniversary, I'm going to share a lot of my heartaches, some of my embarrassments, because I've had some embarrassing moments over these years, my triumphs and victories, some of the things I wish people would have told me, and all of these things. I'm going to just share these lessons with you amongst my regular content. Because this time we have, because on this platform, we believe in having complete conversations. That is why I launched Contractors Chatter. That's why I launched Contractors Conversations, because we believe in completing the conversations over here. That's why I tell you to share and amongst your network this information, because you don't grow alone. My mentor says you get where you're going head first. You don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. So if you're trying to do this thing alone, I'm telling you from experience, you are delaying your victory and you're delaying your goals. I'm going to say this one more time for the people who want to say she's not telling the truth. You are delaying your victories and you're delaying your goals when you're trying to do this alone. You can't do business alone. Scaling and growing is done through networking. It is done through business partnerships. It is done when you get a coach. It is done when you get a mentor. It is done when you get a consultant to get you through the hard spots, because you are an expert at what you do. I'm not an expert marketer. Can I tell you, when I started making momentum, when I got a marketing consultant, when I got a marketing coach? Because guess what? I spent more money and I lost more money when I was trying to do it myself. You know why? Because I'm not a marketing coach. I'm not a marketing expert. I read all the stuff. I did all the YouTubes. I read all the books. I did all that stuff trying to do it for free because I said I didn't have the money. And guess what I ended up doing? I ended up spending more money and losing more revenue in my company because I didn't have the money. So I was the industry's best kept secret. So when I sat down with my books and I saw where I was spending money that I could have not spent the money at and invested in a marketing coach, I saw where my money could have went to investing in a marketing coach. You see how that worked? It was when I redirected resources that I saw momentum in my company. These are the things they don't tell you when you are building a business. These are the things they don't tell you when you're growing and scaling in business. So I just want to share these things with you as I'm going through the countdown to my 10th anniversary in business. And I'm going to tell you the next best lie before I end this live. Asking somebody what someone else's revenue is, they tell you you should ask them what their revenue is because it's an indicator of nothing. And I'm going to tell you why. And I have two reasons for that. The first reason is this: somebody else's revenue is only an indicator of how hard they worked. That's not an indicator of what your goals or your results will be. I will say that again. Somebody else's revenues goals are not an indicator of what you will achieve. That is just an indicator of what their hard work received for them. So if you don't work as hard as they worked, you won't receive the same results. I may even go here. If you're in a different industry from them, you're not going to get the same results. So if your industry won't tolerate a $30,000 offer, well, that means you're not going to have a $30,000 result straight out the gate. It's just that simple. And these are the things that I learned over the years in business. You're also, here's something else: low ticket offers don't work in every industry. So a $9.99 or $9.95 offer in certain industry, hey, Titans of Liberty, will not work in every industry. In some industries, that's a turnoff. Low ticket offers in certain industries is a turnoff. That's why they're not buying from you. I know that was a mind blower for some people. How you doing? So you're sitting here with your $9.95 because somebody told you to do a low ticket offer, and you're trying to figure out why nobody is buying it. It's because in your industry, $9.95 is toxic. In your industry, $97 is the sweet spot to start at. In your industry, $47 is what is to start at. So you're doing this $9.97 and nobody's buying, and you're broke and you're trying to figure out why. You either need to be free or you need to be $47. That's it. You either need to be free. And I'm gonna go here. Who told you had to be free out the gate? Who told that lie? I believed that for years because that's what somebody told me. But you know what? I know idiots, and I'm going to call them idiots, who came out of corporate charging $30,000 straight out the gate, and they got $30,000 straight out the gate. Nobody has to charge free. That's my first tip of the day. You don't have to do anything for free in industry. Talking about you have to give them something free in order before they buy. No, you don't. That is the biggest lie from the pits of hell. You don't have to prostitute your intellect. That is remnants from slavery. No free 99. That's right. You don't have to do it. I don't know where that thought process came from, and it's prominent amongst the black and brown community. You do not have to do it, especially in the corporate space. Now, there is a place for it. There is a place for it, but you do not have to do it. And I don't understand this thought process that we have, that somebody has to do it or that you're entitled to it. And I see it time and time again, especially on lives where, creators have their cash app up and you're begging on here. Thought leaders, all thought leaders should be paid. Now, if you're biblical, the Bible says that you should pay people. If you're universal, the universe says that you should your universe says that you should multiply your knowledge. I mean, every school of thought says that you should give everybody their due. Period. In the discussion. And all of these schools of thoughts come out of the Abrahamic Mosaic law. All of them. So let's just go there. But this and and that's my second tip for the morning. As you building a business, you're going to find that you're going to have to shift the people that you're around. I want you to pay attention to what I said. You're going to have to shift the people that you're around. As you're building your business, and if this is resonating with anybody, please make comments. And I know this is hitting some people hard, but that's okay. You're going to have to shift the people that you're around. And I wish I had did this earlier in my business journey, because the people that were around me hindered me. And I know I'm stepping on some toes, and they're going to see this video, and some of them are going to start making subliminal posts, and some people they're going to make subliminal posts on my Facebook page. That's okay. They hindered me. Some of them because they loved me and wanted protection from me, and some of them because they were secretly hating. And we just going to call a spade a spade. They were secretly hating. People who love you, when they see you struggling, will always tell you to do what is safe. And there are times when your business go bust, boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust, boom. You will have this abundant harvest, and then your business will fluctuate and go into a deficit. And when your business is in deficit, the first thing people tell you is go get a job. And in some instances, that is the right thing. Go get a job. And in some instances, you need to double down and send out some more RFPs and have more conversations. In all instances, you need to have more conversations. However, when the people around you are constantly telling you to give up on your business, or when they're constantly using the nomenclature, as my mentors say, well, that little business of yours. Watch the language of the people around you. It will seep into your subconscious, and it will have you thinking your business is that little business. It will have you thinking that business is that little hobby or little venture you should give up on. So you will have to begin to shift the people around you. Get into the room with other business owners. Get into the room with other people growing businesses. Stay in network with other people doing what you're doing. That was my dryer going off in the background. Don't pay that no attention. Get in room, get in network. You're saying, I'm starting a business. The first thing you should do, go to the Chamber of Commerce and start going attending their networking events. The second thing you should do is go now. The SBA have some great um, events, training events to go to. Do that. Now, free 99, free training is something you should do in the beginning, but you should plan to invest. That's the third thing, plan to invest. As you grow your business, you cannot grow your business off of free. And what you will find is, as you grow in your business, the people that you want to be around or you need to be around are in the rooms of those networking events, those conferences, those budget, your local government hold budget briefings quarterly, monthly, whatever they are. You should attend those because guess what? Those affect your business. There are people in those rooms you need to be involved with. Go to them. Attend all those, especially if you're going into government contracting. You need to be in all those. Hello. You need to be in every last one of those, and you need to be in the room. Stop streaming. COVID is the flu. Go go take some vitamins and go attend those. Go be in the room. Shake some hands. Wave at folks. But go be in the room, especially if you call yourself wanting to be a government contractor. Be in the room and network with these people, especially if you're a business owner. Now, on my platform, if you have questions, if you have comments, drop them in the chat. If I see them, I'll respond to them. If I see them live, if I see them after the fact, then I'll address them. TikTok is a little different because I'm streaming live on TikTok, and I can't come back to the live later. So if you have a comment or question, my DMs are open. Do not go crazy in my DM TikTok, because if you say something off the cuff, I will block you. However, if you have a comment or question, or if you have a topic you want me to address, DM me and I will do that. That's how my platform runs. So that's the way I run. That's how Chatter works. But today I'm just talking about next year, 2025, my company will be 10 years old. And in the midst of my regular content, I'm just dropping some lessons that I've learned as I've grown my business. And I'm gonna tell you, there are some days you will want to fold. Want to fold. You will want to give up. You will want to say, I don't know why I did this. I'm a little versed in 501c3, C5, but I have a business bestie who can break that down, and I'm actually going to interview her for my podcast. And as part of my march to my 10th anniversary, there are certain ones I'm going to stream live and bring in an audience for the stream. I have a new platform I'm testing out, and I'm going to stream live. So, and I think that's one of the ones I'm going to stream live so that we can take questions and answers. So that is one, because everybody thinks all nonprofits have to be 501c3. And I believe she said there are 30 different types. And all nonprofits don't have to be. And I'm going to go here. If you're a 501c3, you're actually publicly owned. and the board of directors own it. So people talk about I own a nonprofit. No, you don't. Stop it. Get your language together. No, you don't. And the board of directors can vote your behind out. You're the founder. Get your language together. That's how I know people don't know what they're doing. You start stuff and don't know what you're doing. Get your language together. Oh my God. People just be irking me. And bad language and bad grammar intended. Woo. You know, it could be I'm a compliance officer. And that burns me. People use language incorrectly, and when you use the language incorrectly, there you go. You're actually a C4 and have subs that are C5. See, people don't even know about that. Just like when I scroll the streets of Tikamatok, and I see a lot of these videos telling people to form trust and form this trust to form that trust, and you form this trust to trust, and you don't need an attorney to form the trust. I'm like, ooh. Anytime somebody tells you to do something without an attorney, I just cringe because a lot of times people are doing it and you're doing it wrong. Anytime somebody tells you to do something without an attorney, they're giving you bad advice. Period. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I write my own contracts, but you know what I do? I run them by an attorney. Hello. I run them by an attorney. With my education background, I could practice law in every country except US. I was shocked when I found that out. In every country except the US, I could actually practice the law. I could actually practice law. It's just that here in the US, you have to have a Juris Doctorate. Well, I don't go back to school to get my doctor's degree. Leave me alone. But but I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. And I know there's a difference between an attorney and a lawyer. Leave me alone. So I don't tell people I'm one. I have a nice network that I can refer people to. I have a nice network that, you know what? That was my original goal when I was a child. I wanted to practice law. I actually wanted to be an attorney or a doctor. I always wanted to be some type of professional. When I went to college, I was a biology major. And what's even funnier, I was a biology major and I got all the way to organic chemistry. And my organic chemistry professor, he looked like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. No lie. He looked like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. He had the long shirt, he had the scruffy hair, he had the goatee. I was looking for Scooby to come through the door when he walked in for lecture the first day. Huge lecture hall at the school. And he was giving lecture. This man was dry as toast. But he knew his thing. And he got up during lecture. Right. He got up during lecture and he ran an SM2 reaction off the top of his head. And in the middle of lecture, he turned around and looked at the reaction for all the chemistry majors out here. You know what an SM2 reaction is. And he said, oh, and he corrected the reaction in the middle of the reaction, did the side chain, listed all the side chemicals off the top of his head. Half the class dropped that day. That man was intimidating. 5 students were getting A's. 1 was getting a B. Everybody else was failing lecture. I passed lab, and lab was all day. Lab was all day. Lab started at 8 o'clock in the morning and went until 5 o'clock. I was passing lab, but I was failing lecture. His test was one reaction. You had used, he gave a particular reaction, a set of chemicals, and he wanted a certain um he wanted a certain he wanted you to run a certain reaction. He wanted certain byproducts. So you had to know how to during the reaction. You had to know how to put the chemicals in with, man, people used to just put their names, turn it in, and just run. Me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. That was me. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was gonna sit there and I was gonna try. He had a grant, a research grant that required him to teach. He hated teaching with a passion. But so he came into lecture one day, and we had to do this one reaction that literally took all day long. One of the students, I believe he did it deliberately because all of his friends' stuff didn't get contaminated. Everybody after him stuff was contaminated. He contaminated the chemicals. So I knew the stuff. So when I got my stuff, it was contaminated. The TA found out it was contaminated, replaced the chemicals. I wasn't starting over. So I knew it was contaminated. So my stuff was going to be wrong. So I started writing up I started writing up my lab results because I knew it was going to be wrong. So he's walking around, giving looking over my shoulder, and he goes, that's wrong. I said, uh-huh. I'm study writing. And he said, you didn't start over. I said, no. Because by that point, it was like 2 o'clock. I wasn't starting over. I would have been there all night. And I told him why it was wrong, what I was getting, what I should have been getting. And no. So then he left, came back, and he said, you're passing lab. I said, yeah. He said, but you're failing my lecture. I said, uh-huh. You can't pass lab and fail lecture. I am. So he talked to the TA. The TA was so cool. He was somebody, he looked like my teacher's assistant, the TA for organic chemistry, was this guy. He was a bodybuilder type. You never would have thought he was an organic chemistry major. And he was just like, how do you pass lab? And I did not have a lab partner. So how did you pass the lab and fail lecture? I was like, I don't know. My mind just worked the way it worked. I don't know. My mind just worked the way it works. I knew how to do it. I knew the stuff. And anybody who knows organic chemistry, I should not have been able to pass lab and fail lecture. That should have been an impossibility, but I did it. And I have the transcripts to prove that I passed. I shouldn't even be telling this story alive. Oh my god. Anyway, but I'm just saying, but this that type of grit that you need to get through having a business. I was just that person. I'm gonna tough it out. I'm not gonna quit. And that is the type of fortitude and tenacity that you need in business. I wasn't gonna quit. No. I don't care what you throw at me. I'm not gonna quit. I can't think of who. I think it was this Business Insider. I'm gonna tell you the tools to writing grants. The number one key to writing a grant, the number one key to writing a proposal request, period, in a discussion. I'm doing a class called Decoding the RFP. And whether you're responding to an RFP, grants, they're all the same thing. Because whether people know it or not, nonprofits are government contractors as well. Get out of this notion of templates. You don't have a template, you have a standard response. You know how you do things. So the first thing you need to do, if you have an organization and you don't have policies and procedures, that's your first thing. Develop policies and procedures, period, in the discussion. I actually have it in my book, Keys to Government Contracting. And I'm redoing Keys to Government Contracting as part of my 10-year anniversary, 10 Keys to Government Contracting. If you have SOPs, that's your first step. The second step is if you haven't been, now some of this is, I'm trying to answer this question very generally because I don't want you to give your confidential information on the live. So this question, this answer is very vague deliberately. If you have a new organization, your history, your experience is your company's experience. So, and as your company does things, or as your company performs, then your company experience replaces your experience, and then your experience just steps into your director's role. So, grant writing then becomes the experience part of the grant writing, then becomes how do you position yourself? So you're positioning the organization, not you. You are not the organization. And I'm going to say this for everybody. You and the organization are two different people. And that is the biggest mistake everybody makes. They write the grants, they write the proposals as though the organization and them are the same people. No, you're not. You are one individual, the company is the other. And you have to write it as though you are two different people. And so a lot of people end up writing the RFPs, their proposals, and they write the grant responses as though, and they write it in such a jumbled way until the person reading it is like, they don't even know who they are next. Secondly, a lot of people lose out on the budgets. Actually, you can write under a DBA, and you should write under a DBA. Your response should be in the name of your organization, with you signing as the founder. So your grant should be submitted under, like when I write for a grant, I write under, when I write for a grant, I write under LT&A Consulting Group if I'm writing for that company. When I'm writing for a government grant, I write under LT&A Government Solutions. I sign as Luciana Turner, founder. Period. Because who's applying for the grant? LT&A Government Solutions. I'm not applying for the grant. Luciana Turner is not applying for the grant. LT&A Government Solutions applying for the grant. What is LT&A Government Solution going to do with the grant money? Let me tell you what LT&A Government Solutions is going to do with that grant money. LT&A Government Solutions is going to do ABC, XYZ. Even if you have a DBA, you will use the name of the company, not LT&A, Luciana Turner doing business as LT&A Government Solutions. No. LT&A Government Solutions is applying for XYZ grant. And LT&A Government Solutions intends to utilize this grant, XYZ grant, in the following form. blah, 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 bing, bang, bang, blah, 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 blah. Because LT&A Government Solutions is utilizing the grants. I get what you mean. I'm utilizing the language so people understand how the reader wants to read, the proposal. They want to read that the organization is utilizing the grant and the founder is administrating the grant funds. They don't want to read that the founder is utilizing the grant and using the organization's name. I want people understand. People are putting the cart and throwing the horse away. And that's why a lot of people are losing out on grants and on grants, period. Another thing is people lose out on the budget because people don't know how to write budgets. How are you utilizing the funds? And you are so vague because you haven't thought about it. You have not thought about how you're going to use that money. You just saw somebody told you about $20,000 and you jumped up and applied for it. You didn't take 5 minutes to say, how am I going to use that money in my company? You haven't even thought about how that grant fund fits into your company. Just because there's a grant out there doesn't mean you have to apply for it. I'm going to say this one more again. Bad grammar intended. Just because there's a grant fund doesn't mean you need to apply for it. And just because there's a government contract doesn't mean you need to bid for it. I have in my box or on my list 10 10 government contracts for the state of Virginia I'm going to bid on. That is 10 out of 50 that I looked at. Do you know why I boiled it down to 10? Because those are 10 that I am strongly suited for. Those are 10 that I believe I can dog walk. Those are 10 that I can walk like a prostitute on K Street. Hello. And out of those 10, 7, I believe, are a slam dunk. Why? Because they are so aligned with my capabilities. They are so aligned with what I do. Hello. But people don't think like that. People are so hungry or so thirsty, as we used to say when I was young. They are so thirsty for anything and will do anything. They just grabbing at anything. But you see, I have a strategy. I sat down and aligned my gifts, hello, and my experiences. And where I talk about that in my book as well, I aligned my gifts and experiences to the services that I intend to supply to the government. And then I said, what government agency do I want to work with? You see, I planned all this stuff out. I actually created an overarching strategy. I didn't say I'm gonna be a government contractor, but then I worked in the industry. But I didn't say I'm gonna be a government contractor and then started throwing stuff at the wall. I created a strategy and a plan because government contracting is expensive. Grant writing is expensive. These things are, when you do it right. When you do it wrong, it's expensive, but it's expensive. So you need to get out here and you need to respect the industry that you're working in. And that's another thing, keys to government contracting. It's on Amazon, or you can go to my link tree and order a copy. And I'm doing a second edition in honor of my 10-year anniversary. And I'm doing an update to it called 10 Keys to Government Contracting, and I'm going to expand on it. But you can buy the current copy of it now. Um, so you have, and then the updated copy, I'm going to actually talk about aligning. And in my contractors intensive next year, I'm going to do a whole working session on aligning your skills to who you're going to your services, because that is something I've heard people say, and in my mind it's like, okay, it's a no-brainer, but apparently to me it was like, okay, you sit down and you align your skills to your services, but apparently that's something that a lot of people need help doing. So in the contractors intensive next year, that is something I'm going to do a whole workshop on. We're going to align skills to um, services. For those of you who are watching me on Facebook, the last Facebook update made it so when you stream, I cannot see the comments and I don't have my other device charged up. So when I watch the replay or I look at the comments, I will address those comments at that time. I do apologize. I don't know why Facebook did it. I do know why. Because they want you to stream directly through them. I know exactly why they did it. So back to my point. But yes, you have to make sure your contracting plan addresses all those points. So the contractor intensive, I'm doing that. I'm also going, I have a 2-day that I'm doing this year that I'm walking through that. But the 10-year one, I'm really pounding it home on that as well. So, for those who are joining the room now, next year my company is 10 years old, and I'm doing a countdown to my 10-year anniversary. So, in the midst of my regular content, I'm sharing some lessons learned. I'm sharing what I wish I had been told when I started my business. I'm just sharing the highs and lows. That's why I've gone over on my live. Usually chat is only 30 minutes, and I've been on here over an hour. So if you have questions, you can drop them in the live, in the chat. On TikTok, because I can't watch the replay, my DM is open. You can drop your questions in the DM after the live. So that's what this live is about, and that's what my lives are going to be about. Now, Chatter as a whole is where I share updates on business and government contracting. I share, we talk about legislation, we talk about industry news. I do a debrief on any type of government announcements from a business perspective. It's not a political platform. There's enough political pundits on this app, and there's enough political pundits running around here. You don't need me to give you any political perspectives. So everything I do is from a business perspective. This Friday, I have a podcast episode dropping on Contractor Conversations, which streams on Spotify, YouTube, podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are streaming, because a couple of podcast streaming net situations are closing. So I have to look at that again. On LLCs, and they don't do what you think they do. So that is going to be really, really interesting. The people who are sending me invitations to stream live, if you're not commenting in my comment section, stop it. Because I don't know who you are. They're not even people I recognize. Stop. I even think it's rude to even do it. Cut it out. Um, you know what? TikTok etiquette is just, it's just ridiculous. If you don't know who I am, we're not mutuals or anything. At least drop a hello in my comment section before you keep sending me these requests to duel live. It's just ridiculous. Anywho, but I'm getting ready to sum up the close down. So I will be going live tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, with some more with contracting chatter. My name is Luciana Turner. I do have a business page on TikTok. It's LTACG. You will find a lot of my business content over there. On Facebook and LinkedIn, LT&A Consulting Group is my business page. So you will find all of my business content on that page as well. So just a brief summary. If when you're bidding on grants and government contracts, you bid as the company, not as yourself. You position the company and you respond that you are the founder administering the funds on grants. That is the proper way to do it. You bid as the company and you are the founder administering the funds. Period. On a proposal, you always bid as the company. There's very rarely you will ever bid as an individual for government contracts. Very rare. Um, there's more than one type of nonprofit. Everybody knows about the infamous 501c3, but I believe there's 30 types of nonprofits. I'm even go here. Tip: if you want to control or own your nonprofit, do a foundation. But I'm gonna have an expert come on and talk to you about that, because a lot of people are doing nonprofits wrong and don't even know it. So yes, you don't own a nonprofit. You are the founder. That's it. Your board of directors can vote you out. If somebody has a nonprofit and they say they don't have a board of directors, that's a requirement. I'm just saying. I'm gonna leave it right there. So if anybody doesn't have any questions for me on the live, and everybody, if you have questions, you can inbox me. You know what? Titans of Liberty, email me, because you had asked me to do something and I never heard back from you about it. So email me. So if anybody have any questions, my DMs are open, and that's where I get my content from 90% of the time. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Luciana Turner, your host of Contracting Chatter. And remember this: a stressed mind can't create. So when you find yourself aggravated, stressed, can't find the answer, walk away. Just walk away from whatever it is that you can't seem to wrap your mind around. Go outside, take a walk, read a book, de-stress. You will find your answer in the peace. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Have an amazing, amazing day.